Hey y'all, thank you for clicking into my kitchen. Today I'm sharing a low-carb cheeseburger meal prep bowl, which can also be done as an easy skillet dinner. This meal has 61 grams of protein, 10 grams of net carbs, and is sure to satisfy that cheeseburger craving. Hi, I'm Tina, and on this channel I share high-protein, low-carb recipes that taste good. I eat low-carb because I have to. I have reactive hypoglycemia, and a low-carb diet is the treatment. Now let's get to cooking. So we're starting off today with the yeast rolls so that we can get the dough proofing in the oven while we make the rest of the meal. This particular recipe calls for the She Prep Smart baking mix that I have previously posted on my channel, and I will link it down below in the description. If you don't want to make this mix though, you can make yeast rolls with the box version of Carb Quick, and that works as well. So we're gonna put that 1 cup of baking mix in there, along with 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. And not that we're gonna get a lot of rise out of these yeast rolls. We will get some, but it's mostly for that yeasty roll taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up in here, just to spread the yeast around. Okay, now for the wet ingredients, that is going to start off with 1 egg, and we are going to add in 1/4 cup of warm milk, and it needs to be around 110 degrees. I popped this in the microwave for 15 seconds and it brought it up to exactly 111 degrees. So we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and we're gonna add in 1 tablespoon of the Wholesome Yum sugar-free honey. I think I need my spatula for this one. And I did make a little bit of a mess. Okay. And then lastly, we're gonna have 1/2 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. That's gonna react with the baking soda and help a little bit with the lift. So we're gonna whisk this up really quick, and then we will just pour it into the dry ingredients. We are going to have to let that sit a few minutes before we put it in to start proofing, and that's just so that the flour can absorb the liquids a little bit, so that we're able to handle it to make the rolls, to get them in the oven to proof. So it's a little bit of a process here. So we're just going to pour that in there and mix it up, and then after it's mixed up, we'll just set it aside for a few minutes. See, it's a little wet right now. So, but once that coconut flour and almond flour soak in some of that liquid, we're gonna be able to handle it and form it into rolls. So we're just gonna set that aside for just a few minutes. Okay, I think we're ready to get these on the tray. So move this out of the way, grab the tray. So what I do here is I just divide the dough into 4 sections. I'll scoop out one of those sections, get it in my hand. I'm gonna wet my hand a little bit here, and then I'm gonna wet this one a little bit. Not a lot, you don't want your hands too wet because you don't want the dough to get too wet. And I just kind of go back and forth to make it a little bit smoother and make a little bit ball. Okay. Although, I don't think I got enough on that one. I still don't think I have enough on that one. It looks a little bit small. You don't want to over mess with them because you don't want them to end up being too rubbery or dense. So just lightly go back and forth. There we go. Okay, we're gonna stick these in the oven at 90 degrees for 30 minutes to proof. I will also add some notes to the recipe card for alternate methods of proofing your dough in the event that you don't have that setting on your oven. So we'll go ahead and pop these in here for 30 minutes and we'll start on the rest of the meal. All right, it's cheeseburger skillet time. We're gonna start this off with 2 pounds of ground beef. And I chose 85/15 for this recipe. You're gonna want some fat in here because it's gonna give it more of that cheeseburger flavor. Let's go ahead and break this up a bit so it can get going. while the meat gets going, we'll go ahead and just grate the cheese so we can get that part out the way. I like to use my handy cheese grater. For this recipe, we're gonna need 1 cup of shredded cheese. It makes such quick work of shredding cheese. I went ahead and grated up the whole block, but we're only gonna use 1.5 cups for this recipe. So I'll go ahead and just set the rest aside. All right. All right, the pink is just about gone out of this. So now we're gonna add in 1 cup of diced onions. And we're also gonna add in our 4 cloves of garlic. We'll give this a stir. And we want to cook these until the onions get soft. Stir this around. On this recipe, we want to leave a little bit of fat in the pan. So you just want to check to see how much your meat released, so you know if you actually need to drain it or if you just want to leave it in there. I just move the meat a little bit over and leave an empty spot there and just see if I have any grease that ends up pooling in the empty area. And I don't, so I don't have, it didn't let a lot of grease go on this particular batch of meat. So I'm gonna leave that in there because it's gonna help flavor the rest of the ingredients. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put in 2 tablespoons of mustard, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon of smash burger seasoning, and 2 teaspoons of paprika. And we're gonna stir this up. It's already smelling like a cheeseburger. Now we want to add in 1 cup of beef broth and our bags of slawed veggies. I use the Puro vegetable slaw. There's several versions of this. There's a regular, just cabbage slaw. There's also a broccoli slaw. This is the one that I like the best. I use 2 bags, so I got 20 ounces. Just dump this right in here. And it's gonna look like a lot at first, but it cooks down pretty good. So the roll's finished proofing. So while this cooks down, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the air fryer at 300 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes and get those going. This recipe reminds me so much of my childhood. Every time I think of cheeseburger skillet, I think of the Big Mac song. And then I start thinking of the double dutching and the clapping games and the Miss Mary Mac. And of course, the Big Mac song was my favorite. Who would have guessed? Food. I'd sing this song now, but did you know that that jingle is copyrighted? And unless McDonald's wants to sponsor my video, I guess we're gonna move on. All right, so we're gonna go on with the cheese. Because this is cooked down enough now, we're gonna put in 1/2 cup of the shredded cheddar cheese. And you're gonna wanna choose a pretty sharp cheddar to ensure that your cheese flavor doesn't get lost in this dish. We're also going to add in 4 ounces of cream cheese. The cream cheese isn't for the cheese flavor, it's to help coat the cabbage so that it's nice and the sauce is nice and silky and doesn't separate. So we're just gonna stir these cheeses in here and get them nice and melty. All right, it looks like this is finished up now, and it smells wonderful, just like a cheeseburger. All right, so we're gonna portion this out into our 5 meal prep containers, and it's about 1 1/4 cups into each one. And by the time we're done with that, the biscuits should be ready. All right, we got our biscuits out, and we want to put 2 tablespoons of melted butter on them. And then we're going to follow that up with some flaky sea salt. We'll get them nice and coated. And then just a sprinkle of flaky salt. Well, you can't have a cheeseburger skillet without the sauce, right? And we've got some options here for you. So as far as easy and store-bought, I have 2 that I've tried. I've tried both Chosen and Primal, and I think I like the Primal one better. It's more like the original. Also, if you do not want to purchase your sauce and you have all the ingredients available, you can of course make your own sauce. So we'll show you how to do that one. It starts off with 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Followed by 1 tablespoon of yellow mustard. 1 tablespoon of sugar-free ketchup. We've got 1 tablespoon of the liquid from the dill pickle juice. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And then we just stir this up. Okay, and since I'm making this for meal prep, I'll store them in these little squeeze containers that I can throw in my lunchbox and just squirt some on there. It usually lasts about 3 lunches. I'll link those down below if you're interested in these. All right, let's give it a try and see how it came out. Oh, we need sauce though. All right, let's get some sauce on here. The ground beef and mustard are definitely doing their job making that taste like a cheeseburger. It is so good. You know what I forgot? I totally forgot the pickles. You can't have a cheeseburger skillet without the pickles on the top. All right. So I used to just cut up dill pickles and put on the top. But I found this one that was already pre-chopped, and it's got a couple of other things in there, so it's kind of like an adult version of a relish, but it's excellent on here, and it saves me the work of having to cut things up. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there, and we're gonna give it another bite. That's definitely more like it. I have certainly chopped up many a pickle though, so if you don't find this, that's fine. Just go ahead and chop you up some pickles to stick on there. Now let's try one of these yeast rolls. Now, I will say that it's not exactly a yeast roll. It is more of a yeast vibe biscuit. So take it for what it will. I'm gonna break that open. It's a nice looking roll though. All right, let's give it a try. It's got that yeasty vibe of like a Texas Roadhouse style roll, but it does have the texture more on the biscuity side, but it's so good. And it actually helps with the fact, since you don't have a bun for your cheeseburger skillet, it helps break up some of that heaviness of it. So I'll pop a QR code right here with a link to the recipe for my TV viewers. I'll also put it down in the description for anybody else who might want it. And I will have details in the description as well about how to search for these recipes in MyFitnessPal if you want to log those directly. I've got my lunch done for the week. Still need to make another batch of biscuits so that I have enough of those. But I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you did, I'll put a playlist right here with some more meal prep recipes. If you find one that you like, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching my video.